Welcome back. Rising tensions in the Middle East, particularly involving Iran, have pushed oil prices above $90 per barrel, marking the largest weekly increase since the COVID-19 pandemic and raising concerns about renewed global inflation. Prices climbed further after reports that Kuwait reduced production of some oil fields due to limited storage capacity. Now, this has fueled fears of a wider storage shortage across the region, which could force major oil-producing countries to slow or stop oil extraction. Of course, joining me to discuss this, I have Raymond Nkanebe right here. He's a lawyer. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
It's good to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And of course, I have my ever-reliable Kade Ladende, Executive Editor, TVC News. How are you doing, my brother?
My pleasure.
It's good to have you on the show.
Yeah.
Now, let's get down to the real issue that is at hand at the moment. Kade, I'll begin with you. Iran has vowed not to negotiate with President Donald Trump. Does this signal a prolonged conflict in the Middle East from your standpoint?
I think rhetoric and what you say is part of the war strategy. So you never say never. That is from our own interpretation. But when you say, I vow, I'm not going to do this, that's the language of a war person or a warlord, so to say. So it's just for us not to take those words so seriously. It is usually, there are a whole lot of things that are considered when you need to bow and when you need to continue or when you need to sustain. But the fear of people is, that's what they told us about Israel and Palestine, and we are counting years. That's what they said about Ukraine and Russia, and we are counting 4 years plus. But I think it's not going to be like that. You know, fighting America with Israel at the same time is like, that's the reality. I'm sorry I have to say this. It's like going on a serious suicide. So I see that this is not going to be so prolonged. I see it as there's going to be some compromise. Don't take those words so serious. That's the point I'm making.
Right.
So, but what it is that I see some situation that this is going to be de-escalated at some point.
Right.
Because America, when they strike, they don't just leave it at that. They're already going into some deadly things. You know, you're sinking ships, you're attacking schools, and these are things that would definitely bring down this war.
All right. Raymond,
Yes.
are we looking at another global inflation surge similar to what the world witnessed after COVID-19? Now, as an oil-producing nation, will Nigeria benefit from higher oil prices or suffer from rising fuel costs?
That's a very good question. I think it's both ways. I think the consequences will come both ways. In terms of whether we're going to benefit because of the disruption in the global supply chain, given Iran's very strategic, position in the global oil supply value chain, other oil-producing nations naturally are going to take advantage of that situation because it's a function of demand and supply. So if Iran, which is a major supplier or which also has a that neighbors the Strait of Hormuz, which is a very critical passage point for both energy and also other products, typically Nigeria is going to, and other oil-producing nations, I think, are also going to benefit. However, back home here, I've not seen that translate to what we are seeing. In recent days, we're beginning to see long queues at the filling station, and you can't reconcile that with, from the conceptual sense, the law of demand aspect of things. I think it's going to come down to our local issues around the energy sector. That is whether we can take advantage of this situation in the Middle East. It comes down to our local, the environment here with respect to that sector. So the Dangote connection to it, is this going to see him? Are we going to now export to other countries that ordinarily rely on Iran for energy and all that? It remains to be seen, though. I think these are still the early days of the war, and things are taking shape.
Right.
Some of the oil marketers are all still responding. I believe this current scarcity is just artificial because the various stakeholders are still monitoring the situation, and maybe expectedly they are, limiting just to see how things plays out. So what is going to be an advantage or disadvantage, I think it's a little more, in the next week or so, we can have more clarity
on what
on the
situation
opportunity
is.
cost of this crisis.
Kaide, very quickly, when the president assumed power, he took out subsidy, and the larger population blamed him so bad for it. He was so, hounded. Now, with what is happening right now, do you think the president has been vindicated?
Okay, I choose to answer it this way.
Right.
Just to quickly say one or two things about what he said. I think Nigeria as a government is getting more. The last time we had something close to this, or even higher than this, was during the administration of Jonathan, when oil price was going as high as 100 plus. And even the last benchmark, if I'm not wrong, in the budget, I think it's about 75. Now we're dealing with 86. We're looking at 1,002. In fact, that's 120. So that's the projection that a lot of people, the experts, have come up with. So I believe that government is getting more, and there must be a definitive steps to take care of the inflation, because this comes with inflation. Okay. And that's why we are now seeing queues, and the queues is born out of which price is better, which price is higher, because now I think no one is selling less than 1,000 now. So this is to let us know that it's not a good news for us as consumers, as Nigerians, but it's not a bad news for government at large. So it's just for government to see how they can, but manage. I'm not considering subsidy. Okay. You understand? When the subsidy is gone, it's gone. It's gone, yeah. So back to your question. So I feel that this is the whole idea. The price of fuel is supposed to change. That's what happens in America. The price of fuel can change within 1 week. You can have 3 different prices, because it's an international price. You don't determine it here in Nigeria. Yeah. You don't say it's none of your business. It's what OPEC has put out there that you are dealing with. And it's these things are sold in hard currencies. So give or take, I think is the reality we are faced with. And it's just for Nigerians not to politicize this. I understand that some people already say it is Tinubu, it is this. I think that's the height of ignorance, because I assume that a good number of Nigerians should have expected this. And they should even expect a higher cost. It's not a negative story. Right. It is the reality
of what's happening.
Just pray that the war should be de-escalated. That's when you can have a breathing space.
Right. Thank you so much.
War is not something good.
All right.